Hey, it's Josh and Alicia with the Herb and Harbins. We are contestants in this year's 15 Minutes of Lane, and we're talking to some industry leaders about the trends in marketing. Tonight, we're going to be talking with Robyn from Redline Shipping, and today about how they've adjusted to market changes and influences that have steered his company's direction. So please welcome Robyn from Redline.
Hey guys.
Hey man.
How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for being here with us.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I gotta say it's very orange on your side over there.
Yes, we like our orange. He's got his red line on, but
trip.
we're very heavy orange here, but that's okay.
Love it.
We may or may not have both graduated from the University of Tennessee, which is known for their semi-offensive.
Yes, we do have a common thread there with Brian Carter of BC
Yes,
Ball.
Yeah. He's usually at our tailgates with us. We do have a tailgate, and so we do have a nice link there. It's kind of funny how we met him in this industry. He lived down the road, and then now we go tailgating and boating with him, and so it's been kind of a fun little adventure. So.
Yeah, I'm hoping to actually make it out to a game maybe next year. I hear
it's
quite the experience for University of Tennessee there.
We had some people come in from Canada like 2 weeks ago. We fly in just for the experience at Neyland Stadium. They're like, it's nothing like anywhere else. And we're like, I couldn't believe it because we've gone to other stadiums. We're like, this is it. We've gone to NFL games. We're like, that's all you got.
College could be a different thing for sure.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, basically kind of go back in time and give us just like a brief synopsis of how you got even started into reptile hobby, where you kind of started at.
Okay. I've had a long evolution. I passed 30 years a couple of years ago. So it's been 3 decades. I started in '93 as a reptile breeder. Okay. I did kind of fall backwards into it. It wasn't what I grew up wanting to do. It was just an opportunity. And when I was growing up, I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. That was consistent since I was a little kid. I didn't know in what, industry or focus it was going to be, but I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so when the opportunity presented itself in 1993, that was kind of when the whole reptile breeding thing as a business was starting to come about. There were some early pioneers that were doing it for money. Mark Bell and Bob Clark and some of those guys were, breeding and producing and selling animals. But those early 90 years was when there was a big influx of folks that came in, started breeding reptiles and selling them and realizing like this could be a real business. So I started with that. And my breeding and livestock career went through 2011, 2012 or so. And it came to an unfortunate end with a facility fire, an electrical fire that, pretty much wiped us out. And that kind of, made its own determination of what the future held at that point. I'd also started Shipping Reptiles in 2009, a couple of years before that. And it was just getting its footing and really starting to grow and establish. So I knew I still wanted to do that. And then I had been kicking around this idea in my head for what became the Reptile Report for a couple of years, but we just, you're too busy cleaning snake poop and trying to breed animals. But again, since that chapter had been closed, I thought this is a good time to revisit that. So 2012, we started the Reptile Report. That continues today. I have a small staff of folks that help me with that. And we're over 1 million strong on Facebook, over 300,000 on Instagram. And it's a platform that helps me, shine a light on lots of other small breeders and small businesses.
Very cool.
It's free. Yeah. Like we don't charge people to be posted on there. Breeders and hobbyists submit photos and videos and stuff all the time. And we try and post the very best of what we get. But it's always been a free service. And again, just to try and get smaller folks that don't have a huge audience, maybe get them in front of more eyeballs to appreciate the hard work that they're doing and some of the great animals they're working with. So that was 2012, 2014 or so. We started our heat tape company. And now we're the predominant heat tape supplier in the industry. 2019, I had a business divorce from my longtime partner of 25 years. Yeah. And we went our separate ways. I kept the Reptile report. He kept shipping reptiles. And after a quick thought, I started Redline Science for products, which, cleaning, scrapers, stainless tools, and things like that. And then I waited out a 3-year non-compete on the shipping thing. And then I launched Redline Shipping in 22. That took off right away. And that's kind of been my main focus for the past few years is the Redline Shipping project. I still sell lots of heat tape. Still love having the Reptile report. But these days my focus is based and foundational on Redline Shipping at this point.
Definitely. Yeah, we just shipped a snake last night with Redline Shipping. We're not as big as shippers as we're probably going to end up being. We do so many shows, but we've jumped on your bandwagon pretty quickly. Y'all done just such an amazing job, and
we're kind of spoiled. We live pretty close to the Knoxville airport, even though we're not in Knoxville. So we have a FedEx hub less than 5 minutes from the house.
So we just drive the little snake over at 8 o'clock at night, and they ask us what's in there. We show them a picture, and then we go off our business. But we're expecting that as our business is now changing and growing, that we're going to be shipping a lot more stuff, and we're very confident with Redline. So I think you explained a lot of background stuff, and I think we'll talk about some marketing now.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I get some lunkheads like Chris Eaton and Adam at Proper Royals, and they try and make it like I'm Redline. I mean, I am Redline, but it's my team that makes that whole business work. We have a great team of customer service folks that actually work your shipments and get them through the system. So I always want to give credit to my great team that we've been able to assemble. That's what really makes it work, and it's great to provide shipping service for a mom looking to relocate her pet reptile. That's awesome. We love doing that. First-time shippers, we love helping those folks. But I also love helping, reptile breeders and give them a service and a price point that works and really allow them to grow their business. That's a huge focus of what we do. And so the idea that, hey, you guys want to start focusing more on some sales, and we'll be increasing sales, increasing shipments. Man, that is right up my alley. I love to be able to participate in the growth of small business in our industry. I think that's just so rewarding and fantastic.
Well, it does. It gives us confidence too. It's probably one of the things that I had the hardest time with in the very beginning was shipping animals. The fear of something happening to them during shipment, and Tom was always just very like, it's gonna be all right, they'll be fine. And so
we only did local shows for the longest time just so we could like hand it over
and it was still, and as we've done more and more shipping, it is definitely, y'all have got it down to a fine science as far as helping us at least, and so that makes a huge difference for us.
That's great. Yeah, we have very specific guidelines. They're not overly restrictive. They're just the guidelines that we've established over the last 25 years. And frankly, as long as folks follow the packaging guidelines and the temperature guidelines, and most importantly, the heat pack use guidelines,
definitely,
you should always expect to have full success and 100% success when you're shipping the live animals. And if you didn't, I mean, if it was something wacky, even if 10% of shipments were bad and had DOAs, we wouldn't have a business.
Exactly.
That would be that's an astronomical number of shipments to go bad. The DOAs account for a fraction of 1%, not 1%, but a fraction of 1%. And so, the system works really well. We're very fortunate, to be in the industry where we can transport our animals. And at this point, inverts and spiders and isopods and the rest of it all, quickly and safely. So, it's a fun business to be in, but very rewarding to work with so many small business people.
Very cool.
We've got some little more like nuts and bolts questions for you now. So how has your marketing strategy changed in the past 3 to 5 years? Because I know there's a lot of emerging advertising avenues like Google ads, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's face-to-face, there's word of mouth. What have you seen in the last 5 years that's changed?
I mean, I think if you look at the last 5 years, I mean, it's the whole industry is revolutionized, right? Because that last 5 years would include COVID years. And that affected our hobby and our industry so significantly. It was absolutely boom time during those years. for any type of hobby, whether it's collecting bikes or watches or reptiles. It was just off the charts growth and booming time business. And so it was a little bit challenging to keep that momentum up, post COVID.
Yeah.
But it also changed. It changed different aspects of the business. The COVID years killed reptile shows for quite some time.
Yeah. Yes.
And then those came back in, and some of them have remained really strong. But then there's also, I think, oversaturation of shows.
Yeah.
And the emergence and strengthening of the social media side. Social media is without question the number one factor in reaching an audience, like marketing your brand. You can't effectively market or reach an audience without having a strong social media presence. And from there, you have to choose how you're going to approach that. Aside from Facebook, which is apparently for us ancients at this point.
I know.
and Instagram, which is less ancient, but then you also have your Snapchats and your TikToks and your other newer platforms. I'll tell you, I haven't got involved in any of the newer platforms.
Okay.
I don't have a TikTok presence. I don't have a Snapchat presence. If you guys challenge me right now to pull up some kind of Snapchat, something or other, I wouldn't know how to do it.
I don't know how to do that either.
We barely TikTok. I think we did that, started like 2 months ago. And it's different.
Do you see yourself trying to reach into those avenues? Do you think those are avenues that are needed at this point?
Well, do I see myself doing it? No.
Okay.
No. But do I recognize the value of it? Yes, I do. And so what I'm looking at, number one, there's only so many hours in the day, right?
Exactly.
And so if you want to market your company and you want to get your name and your brand out there, you have to make smart choices, and especially with your time. My day-to-day job is Redline shipping.
Yeah.
That's different from you guys. You guys have real jobs, like, real careers. And so you have to squeeze your reptile stuff into your side hours, right? Outside of your job. And that's like a lot of folks in the reptile industry. And so you have to be able to maximize those hours. You can't waste time on an ineffective platform.
Yeah.
Putting time in if it's not working effectively for you. So I understand that something like TikTok has value. I understand that YouTube has a lot of value. But it's difficult to find the time to get the content for that. And so what I've done is I find ambassadors or advocates for me on those platforms.
Yes, that makes sense.
And that really goes back to my foundational approach on marketing, which is really about the connections that we make and the relationships that we have.
Definitely.
And being able to tie together a circle of people that all have different value, maybe, and all have different expertise. And so I want to have a good presence on YouTube, but frankly, I don't know how to edit a video, and I don't really have time to shoot my own videos. But Brian Cusco can do some great videos for me.
Yeah, he does.
And Adam at Proper Royals can do some great videos for me. Chris Eaton can do some great videos with a very grumpy approach for me. So you have to, use the tools that you have, right? You can't really be a one-man band and expect to be able to get everywhere. So now on the TikTok side, I don't have anybody. I haven't had anybody stronger than TikTok. But I recently reached out, and we're now going to be sponsoring the Wild Type podcast.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, cool. Nice. Yeah.
And those two ladies do have presence on TikTok.
Okay.
And they are familiar with the platform. And so I'd like to be able to push that relationship and see how I can get value on that TikTok platform. Is there a way that I can get Redline exposure on there?
Yes.
And it's a little bit, it's a little different from me. You also have to evaluate what you're doing, what you're presenting. You guys have amazing animals. And I love your branding, by the way. The orange is fantastic. You guys made one of my favorite Redline project patches. So your graphics and your branding are great. But you also have animals to promote, and animals are always a hit. I have insulated boxes and heat packs. It's not interesting, right? So I have to be creative and find a way around
definitely.
that.
You really should do the handheld box
interesting
photos like people do with their snakes.
Yeah, you need to do the box photo like at some point, just like we do out in the sunlight.
It's just not exciting, but I have to still be able to engage the audience.
Yeah.
And so that's why we do stuff like the Redline project and do different patches and sling bags and things. And that's why, I get back scratchers. We've gone through 20,000 Redline shipping back scratchers.
Yeah. We have them laying around the house.
It's at the coffee table by the couch.
It's I
have one right here. But this is a way
simple.
that I can reach a customer with a novelty approach, but it's a memorable approach. I mean, people still come up to us at shows and be like, "Hey, I need a new back scratcher. Do you have any back scratchers?" And I literally, on my porch, if you came over to my house right now, today I got a shipment of 5,000 more back scratchers. So I have to, my wife's not thrilled. So I have to bring all those boxes inside. But, I have to find a way to engage with the audience. Okay. And whether that's a back scratcher or a fan or, we do a lot of $5 t-shirts.
Yeah.
And the sling bag project, I have to find creative ways to engage my audience because I don't have, great looking ball pythons. I don't have great looking hognose. I don't have great looking geckos. And so, I have to be able to engage my audience. Now, at the same time, I do have one advantage in that while I don't have animals myself, I have thousands of customers that do have great animals.
That's true.
And so I've actually applied the Reptile Report concept to Redline.
Yeah. Where
on my social media platforms for Redline, if we have a chance to share some spectacular animal from Herp and Harbin's, we're going to put that up and say, check out this amazing ball python from the Harbin's, or check out this amazing Leachianus from Epic Styles, right?
Yes.
Because I can do that. I get permission, number one, but I can do that because I'm not competing with my clients.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. That's true.
And so it makes it a little easier. But that's the key, is you always have to find some way to engage. And as far as when it comes to other platforms, sometimes you have to look for some kind of cooperative relationship that can give you access to that platform, whether it's YouTube, whether it's TikTok. Because you might be the world's worst videographer or the world's worst editor, but you may have someone in your circle that is good at those things, and you might be able to leverage that. And sometimes in exchange for value, hey, I can bring you value in this field, you can bring me value in that field, and now, hey, okay, I've got some TikTok video content and I've got some YouTube content. You have to try and make use of what you have. What's available to you.
That makes sense. And I mean, I think hearing what you're saying, you do use your sponsorship avenues where you're helping them and they're helping you. And it's and we've started some sponsorship together with some other groups. And I think that builds it up. Again, we may be our own units, but it's almost like we're all a team together, kind of working together. And so I like seeing
Absolutely. That. I'm really big on my family circle is what I call it.
Definitely.
And it's the group of people and businesses and folks that are around us and that we're always open to working with. Yeah. And whether that's you guys or Brian Carter or Adam at Proper Royals or Snake Discovery, whoever it might be. I work really well with Pangea, and I work really well with Josh Frogs. I of course work really well with Reptile Basics, who's a partner in Redline. And I work really well with Brian Potter and Bob Ashley, who have NARBC shows, and they're partners in Redline. I recognize that all those people have such great value in areas that I don't.
Yeah.
And so, again, what value can I bring to them?
Yeah.
So that when the time comes and I need some value in return, how can somebody with such a giant head like Brian Potter, how can he help me accomplish some goals, right? I mean, there must be some great ideas in his giant
his giant head.
Yeah, they got to be rattling around in there. Yeah. And so, I think, creating that kind of relationships and that kind of a circle has value. Definitely. And it can't just be in your niche. You can't just be a crested gecko breeder. I mean, it's fine that 200 other crested gecko breeders. That's great. That has value in itself. But there are other areas in the industry that you can create relationships with, and those are going to bring value to your table. And it doesn't have to be about money. It doesn't have to be about, I'm going to give you $1,000 worth of value and you give me $1,000 worth of value. It's not that. It's opportunity. Hey, where can I help you? And you have something that you need. Oh, shoot, I can help out in this particular situation. And then down the road, when it comes back to be reciprocated, they can help out in that situation. I'm always down to help out folks in my family circle. I rarely turn down an opportunity to help someone. And I saw a great quote. I wish I knew who said it. But it said, you get what you need by helping other people get what they need.
It's true. Mm-hmm. That's true. It's very true. Yes.
And that positivity and that networking, I think that all pays off. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people in the reptile world can be really shy.
Yeah, they are. There's a lot of shy people. Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of introverts, right?
Definitely.
And sometimes that's why we get into reptiles. And so it can seem daunting, but I mean, if you go around, I talked to a client the other day, and he was talking about going to a show, and it was a pretty good sized show. And he was like, it's just really slow on Sunday, nothing happening, which, not unusual right now. Slow Sunday, shows can be pretty slow. And I said, okay, what'd you do with your Sunday then? He said, we just sat there. We didn't hardly make any sales. And I said, but it's you and your wife. So one of you can sit at the table. The other one, why not go work the room?
Go talk to some people. Yeah, definitely.
Talk to some folks.
Yeah.
Deepen those relationships.
Definitely.
Make dinner plans for tonight.
Yeah.
Who can I go have dinner with that? Boy, I'd love to have a conversation with this person. And the worst they can tell you is, no, I'm booked.
Yeah, exactly.
But they might tell you, no, I'm booked, but you know what? The next show, let's do it. Definitely. Then you pencil that in and you do that for the next show. But if you're an animal breeder, go talk to the guys at Pangea, or go talk to the guys at Josh Frogs, or go talk to some caging folks, or, go talk to some feeder folks, or whatever. Just get out there and connect with people so that the next time, they're thinking of, boy, who are some really good folks in the hobby? They think of you.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good idea. Right? And I think a lot of people don't take their opportunity to go meet people. And I know we sometimes get overly busy. Mm-hmm. And I always feel like, hey, we probably should have even just had to deal with one of us being by ourselves a little bit at the table so the other one could go, talk to people and get to know people.
Even if we're beat after a show, we're going to try to go eat out dinner with somebody just to meet people
and just talk to somebody.
Like you said, that's just not the silver lining to the cloud. That's just the bonus gem of this industry. All the people.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'm beat a lot of times. Like,
it's just like, ugh.
Like Saturday NARBC, right? We have a US ARC auction after the show.
Yeah.
So you work all day, and you're exhausted, but you got to go to the the auction. It's an event, and I'm good for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I can't be there for 4 hours. That's now you're getting ridiculous. But I can be there for an hour and a half. But after that, then I need to go have dinner with folks, with people that I want to connect with. And believe me, I'd rather grab a slice of pizza and go to bed. As far as energy wise.
That's the easy way
I've developed somewhat of a skill, I guess, where even for the whole weekend, you just turn on the switch.
Yeah, you do.
It's game time.
Going to dinner is great, and ordering food and having conversation. But to me, it's also, that's part of the job.
It is. It is.
It's
I
not just,
agree with that.
it's not, I mean, it's enjoyable, but it's not just fun. It's part of the job. And so I can turn the switch on that I'm working right now.
Yeah.
But
it's like you can overcome it. You overpower the tiredness because you are working.
Yes.
You are working. You know, this is part of progressing, and then also making those relationships. It's the only way to do it. And,
but come 9 o'clock or 9:30 when dinner's over, we'll go back to the hotel. Yeah, good luck seeing me again. I'm
shut down,
knocked out. Now
I always sleep really good, like after those shows, though. Like when we finally get to bed, and I haven't slept for probably days before, because waking up, oh, I got to get this, I got to get that done. You know, like the pre-show jitters. Always, I just don't sleep. But then once we're there, like that Friday night, and everything's set up, we've eaten dinner with somebody, and we get back to the hotel. I mean, we're unconscious until the alarm goes off the next morning. It's like this is when we get our good sleep.
Okay, so then, I mean, I have a hard time relating to, you know, a whole different type of machine, like a Bob Vu that goes to dinner and then they go out until 1 or 2 a.m.
No,
and I'm just like, what's going on?
How are you functioning the next day?
I don't know.
How can you be up at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. to go do the show next day? I mean, these guys are just nonstop, and the battery on them is incredible. But I'm way past that time in my life.
I think we are too. Like those days of spending all night out partying and getting up the next day and being able to function. We can't do that anymore. Yeah. We do have to go to bed.
I've got that T-shirt and I sold it on eBay. I'm done with it.
We've moved on.
Now, you know, you did touch on something, Alicia, real quick about that pre-show jitters.
Yeah.
And I've done at this point hundreds of shows over the decades, right? And sometimes I think that people think that they're unusual because they get anxiety before shows, or they're nervous about the shows. And I tell you what, I get those same anxieties. I get the same jitters. The week before the show, I'm half a mess. I want to make sure it goes well. Am I prepared? Are my shipments coming? You know, my supplies, are they going to be there on time? Yeah. Is my staff ready? Do I have my plans together for dinner and for connections? Yeah. I've got a big list of folks I'm looking to connect with and talk with. I mean, I've got a ton of anxiety leading up to the show. That's not unusual. And I think it's important folks understand that. Like, you're not, just because you're not the most supremely confident person on the planet.
Yeah.
Nobody is. Yeah, I think we're all nervous going into the shows. But you can develop the skill where you can hit a switch, right? And go to work.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so
I think part of that too is
let's get this done. Stay focused.
Yeah. And I think it's the drive too. Yeah, the drive of getting to that show and making sure it is, to the standards that we want it to be. Not every show is perfect, and that's fine, but we want to make sure we present ourselves well and that we have everything there. And I think that anxiety is a good ramp up to get there. I mean, I feel like it's a positive anxiety. It's just, you still don't, I'm one of those that if I'm ramped up about something, I don't sleep. And so that's
me too. Yeah, it's hard.
Like, just go to sleep, take a nap. And so I haven't slept well this week because of the contest is starting this week. And so I've got all these ideas going through my head of prep and, reels and things like that. But I think once the contest starts, I'll start sleeping again because it'll be like, we're in it. It's happening. And so the same thing with the show. We're in it. It's happening. The ramp up is done. But I think it's a good type thing to get that kind of excitement built in. So
the pressure. I think the pressure is important, and the passion is important, right? Because
definitely
you want to execute well. You want to represent yourself well, whether you're going to a show or you're going to be on the contest on Chris Eaton's show. Yeah. Like, hey, we might as well give it everything you got. No need to come half-assed with it.
I don't want to do that.
We saw my dad. That's what hooked us into this, was hanging out with Dad at a Reptile in Atlanta, and we kind of the light bulb went off. Like, man, Dad loves this, and I think we do too. And like, the bug bit us. And every show after that we went to with him, like, we were just watching him in awe, like how excited he was to meet people, how excited he was to help people. And we thought, you know what, that's the energy we want to carry forward back to the
game. You got to find that groove for sure. That makes it so much more worthwhile, and it makes it so much more enjoyable.
Definitely. It really does. Yeah. looking back, let's lean more on Redline shipping. What of course, you've been doing shipping for a very long time, and you already had kind of a planned process. In the last 3 years, how has it changed? Has it changed at all from what you anticipated it being? Do you feel like it's morphed in something different? Has it gone better? Has it gone not the direction you thought it was going to go? Because I know that's what's happened to us this year. Like, if you talk to us and you heard our interviews earlier this year, so much has changed for us. And some of it's been bad, obviously, you know that. But then it's also turned into good. And, I know you had stuff you went through with, having one company, splitting, having a new company. I mean, has it changed? I think from outside, it looks like it's better from us looking, and I'm hoping that's the same for you. But how has it changed from what you projected it to look like?
I mean, that can be a little tough. When I launched Redline Shipping, I was pretty confident that I could do it successfully, do it well, because I had so many years of experience. And even not being on the shipping side of things for 3 years, when I go to shows, people still think of me as the shipping guy.
Yeah.
And I didn't discourage that, because I knew what was going to come. And so to be able to raise my hand and say, hey, I'm over here now. It's a Redline thing now. I thought it'd probably go really well, but it went way better than that.
Nice.
And it kind of blew the doors off, and that it did surprise me, because I am kind of I'm a cynical guy in a lot of areas, and so I didn't, you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch, and you don't want to make assumptions. It's really important to try not to make assumptions. I still do, but I don't want to assume. So I was not assuming that it was going to be a slam dunk success. I thought we had some hard work ahead. But holy crap, like when we launched and just got so much great support, boy, that was really heartwarming.
Yeah.
Because you're restarting something that's important to you. And then to have so much good support, and then also the business itself, people are using our services. It was bigger than what I anticipated. So that was a surprise. I put together a great staff, and I have some really, really talented folks. My team leader is AJ, and she came over from SYR.
Yeah.
And that was a surprise. I thought, man, wouldn't that be something? Because she was my all-time favorite staffer at Shipping Reptiles. And she's just so talented and so smart. And I thought, boy, I wish I had her on my team. That would be such an advantage. And then the opportunity presented itself, and I thought, maybe, could be. And then it happened. And again, it was just like, holy crap, like things are coming together better than I anticipated.
That's good.
There are always challenges.
Yeah.
And there's at this particular day in November of 2024, there are shipping challenges today.
Yeah.
There are new competitors.
Yes.
There are folks that are apparently bent on destruction.
Yeah.
And I'm not really in favor of that. I'd rather we all kind of be more positive and work together. I mean, we've been working for shipping companies in the reptile segment for 10 plus years, and it's certainly competitive.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's supportive.
Yes.
I like Debbie over at Reptiles too very much. She's great, and she's been a tremendous ambassador for the industry. And she's retiring, I think, the end of this year. Yes. That'll be a certain change. But I like that vibe of being able to communicate with your competitors and be fairly supportive. I'm not into the latest destruction vibe. That's not my thing. So those are challenges. We're facing challenges now with UPS is pushing into the market.
Yeah.
They
I
want
remember
to come
you
back
talking
and
to somebody about that on another.
yeah, they want to start. Well, they are shipping reptiles now, but they haven't for in this third party type capacity for a long time.
Okay.
And then that's caused FedEx to react in a certain way.
Yeah.
And be more aggressive and come around to approving new folks to do the model, which again I'm not thrilled with.
Yeah.
But you know, it happens. Rich at Reptile Basics he's always a good source of wisdom. He gave me some good perspective. He said you can't really control what the other businesses are doing.
No.
It's not your business. He said all you can do is just keep doing what you're doing. And so keep executing at the highest level, keep offering the best possible service and do that. Right.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
You know, if you're breeding hognose, and you know, you're trying to put together a nice collection, you probably aren't going to be able to compete numbers wise with JMG or geckos, etc.
No.
Those guys are freaking monsters, right? I mean, they're just powerhouses.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Do what you do.
Yeah.
Breed the excellent animals that you breed and produce, and work on your product and your presentation and your company, and develop your customer base. That's still your best bet. Don't freaking lose sleep over what Steve Sykes is doing.
Yeah.
You know, concentrate on what you're doing. So I have to keep that in mind today.
That's a good perspective. I think everybody needs to take in, because I think so much of everything is always like, oh, I want to do what they are doing, or I'm going to do like that. And I don't think that's what we're all supposed to be doing our own thing, to build up, and we're supposed to be helping each other in that process. And so,
and you know, you asked for how things have changed, and that actually that reminds me of how things have changed. And it's longer than the 5 years. Back in the 90s and the 2000s, when we were breeding animals, it was much more cutthroat.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
It was much more stabby in the back.
Yeah.
Like today, I see that there's much more cooperative effort amongst ball python breeders or colubrid breeders or invert breeders. Back in the day, geez, you know, Ralph Davis made something new, or Kevin made something new, or Mike Wilbanks made something new in the ball python world. All that was, you know, oh, geez, now I got to get this animal and that animal. I got to try to keep up with them. And damn it, you know, this is so friggin' hard. And I wish he wasn't so successful.
Oh, wow.
It was harder, and we weren't cheering each other on. But today it's much more supportive of each other, you know, and I think people get more enjoyment out of seeing other folks be successful, as long as they're good people.
That's true. That does make a huge difference. Do you think any of that has to do with how things have changed, social media, marketing? I mean,
yes.
It's all got to be that. Yeah.
I think the social media in a lot of ways humanizes us and makes us more relatable, and you understand better. Yeah. And so it gives you a stronger inclination to be like, I want to connect with this guy. Yeah. Or I want to connect with that breeder. And that's positive. Again, as long as they're good people. There's always some dickheads.
Well, I mean,
they don't have that same value, but
yeah, that's true.
I mean, you know, you connect with, I think if you connect with the leaders in your field, you can have takeaways from there that will make you better.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And a lot of times, if you're the smaller breeder, for example, maybe you're just a small boutique breeder, you're looking at your project, or you're looking at the growth of your business or establishing of your business differently than Canova looks at theirs, or
definitely
Wilbanks or Josh Froggs looks at theirs. Yeah. Josh Froggs probably can do $25 million this year.
Wow.
That's hard to even fathom. But so he has a lot. Josh has a lot to offer. He's a really smart businessman. But as a small breeder, as a small producer, you're looking through a different lens. So you might be able to pull some different value and some different perspectives out of that can give Josh value. And that's why somebody like Josh is always eager to talk to folks, talk to entrepreneurs, and talk to other business people, because he recognizes, like, oh, this guy's been in business for 2 years. He might be able to bring something to the table that I hadn't thought about.
Yeah, that's cool that he recognizes that. That, like you said, that's how he got to where he's at, because he's able to open his eyes up and kind of progress as he needs to. So I mean, I think
everybody can have value, and that's what you have to do. You have to understand your worth and your value and what you can contribute. You don't have to produce 10,000 leopard geckos a year to have value. You know,
thank God.
yeah. I mean, because that's for the most part, that's unobtainable.
Yeah, really, it is.
But if you do what you do at an exceptional level, there's value that you can bring to other relationships, other connections. There's value you can bring to your industry. I mean, shoot, there's value that you can bring to the show promoters. You can just be another vendor at a table, one of 100 or one of 200. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
Yeah.
Or you can look and put some effort and thought into your presentation and be one of the best tables at the show.
Yeah.
Definitely. So when the promoter says, you know, hey, check out my show, how great this is, they're like, you know what? You got to look at this booth over here. These guys crush it. Yeah. You know, they have great presentation. You don't have to breed 10,000 geckos to do that.
No.
You just, what is your value? What value can you bring to the table? Now, all of a sudden, you're on the promoter's mind, and he's thinking of you. And when he's talking to other breeders and other companies, he may be mentioning you as, man, I love these, you know, these new up-and-comer folks. Or I love even established. I love what this established company is doing. They really just bring so much to the show or to the industry or whatever it was. It's always about recognizing that you do have value and how you can use that to move yourself ahead.
That's a good point.
I feel like we've been talking to Peter Venkman from Ghostbusters and doing like the what's on the other side of this card test, because you literally answered like 4 or 5 questions.
I was like, we don't even have to ask him.
Is that right?
Like, and in order, like that was kind of cool. So the last question that we didn't tell you about is what question do you have for us, the Herb and Harbins?
What's my favorite color?
She got it. There's a clue. There's a clue.
What is the last question?
What do you have any questions for us?
Oh, do I have any questions for us?
We've been hammering you this whole time. You got to.
Oh, sure. Yes. For 2025, how many shows will you do?
I'm thinking we're probably close to 12 to 14. We'll be doing both Tinleys, at least one, probably both Dallases. We'll be doing the Southeast.
Daytona.
There'll be 2 of those, and there'll be, I think, 2 of the Charlotte shows, and then Daytona, and then we'll probably do at least a couple of local shows. So, yeah, up to 15 maybe.
Okay, I feel like that's a lot. I know that some folks do, 35 or 45 shows, but
I can't even fathom that. Yeah.
Yes, I can't either. It hurts my brain to think about it. Okay. What's your favorite show of the year?
Daytona.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, this year was probably the worst Daytona we've ever had,
because
that was the first show we did without them.
Oh, okay.
But that show was one that the Harbins always loved going to.
That was the first show that we really did with them as a family. And so, and I don't even know if it's really the show. It's being at the beach and going eating seafood with the family. It probably is. That's probably more of the favorite part of it. There's a lot more hognose people there, hognose breeders at Daytona. So we actually get to go see some of the bigger hognose breeders in the country. And so we have a better chance of looking at things and buying things for our collection there. And so I think there's those 2 big components that's why right now it's probably still our favorite show, even though literally this year it was our most dreaded show, because I mean, we were pulling in the parking lot and I was crying because I didn't want to be there without Tom. And so that was really the hardest show, but we got through it as a family. We got through it. And, I know he would wanted us to be there because that was the show that he really introduced us to bigger shows. Like that's the first one we went to with him several years ago. And so, that's always going to be a mainstay because of that, because it's the beach and we love the beach. And, we enjoy Tinley. We really enjoyed Dallas this year. But I had fun in Charlotte too. I thought Charlotte was going to be fun. I mean, I think it's going to be a good show too. We connected with a lot of people there, but I don't think there's one that we don't like. So
Daytona just, it just smells like pee and beer.
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Well, that's just
It's
Florida.
Daytona. It's Daytona.
That's Florida.
That's just the way the whole place smells.
Any kind of touristy area down there is just.
I haven't been to Daytona in 6 or 7 years. But each year now that passes, I see the photos and videos from it. It does seem like a great event. So I might have to put it back on my schedule. Okay. A couple more questions. Who do you think is setting the standard on hognose production currently?
Like, would you say
I've got two.
Production of like morph and gene progression?
Yeah, not numbers, but just like, oh man, I love what they're doing.
So many people.
I know. Like you said, people have to pick out what they're good at, and there's so many individual breeders that are good at their thing.
I mean, I guess the top two for me is Jeff Gallwood and Brent Bumgarner, but it's hard for me not to talk about John Rice. You know, there's just certain guys that, and you know, honestly, those are the three guys that I call first when it comes to I need something. And
all great choices.
Yeah, Dad was our go-to Google for everything.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of forced us to reach out into the industry and grow our network.
And we were already close to those. You know, we were been close to Brent and John for several years, and I've talked to Jeff for years too. But you know, Brent, I called him the day that Tom died. He was one of the first people I called. I was like, man, I need you right now. And you know, he'd been friends with Tom for years too. So we connected on that level. And then I basically said, well, I've lost my mentor. And I said, tag, you're it. He's like, I got you, babe. And I'm like, you know, it gave me comfort because I knew Brent had been doing this for many years in the hognose specifically. And I still talk to him. You know, we actually, the first snakes that we've bought since Tom passed were hognose from Brent. Like that's where I felt more comfortable going to. Like we're going to have to keep progressing our collection. We can't just, you know, fall up and say, okay, we've got all these animals we're taking care of right now. We've got a lot more on our shoulders, but we can't stop the progression of the projects either. We're going to have to keep building. So. Yeah.
All right. Last question. How is the process of folding Tom's collection into yours? And do you see a clear future on that? Or are you still feeling that out?
It was very cloudy at first. I mean, like dark clouds for at least a month. Like, what's going on? Then we kind of hit like a robotic grind where we just like clean poop, drive to Alabama, clean poop, drive back to Tennessee, clean poop.
Yeah, it's a lot of poop.
But then I feel like we kind of got our feet back up under us about a month ago. It was like, we've got to put some breeding plans together. Hognose are about to go into brumation. Yeah. There's ball python females that are developing. And so we got to stand there and, work on the computer and figure out what snake to go with what.
And so there's going to be the Tom path, like the things that we know that he had goals and set.
He specifically laid out some more.
We knew that these are things he's wanting to hit. So we already knew that. Tom and I talked about all that stuff all the time anyway. And the same thing with our stuff. There's things that we want to do that was completely separate than his. But there was co-projects that we were already working on. And so that blend is probably going to happen faster now. And there's really one of his most powerful females at the house. He hadn't even paired her yet. She hadn't progressed yet. And I think I know what he would have paired her with, but I'm not going to do that. We changed up the plans. We're going to pair her with our most powerful male that we have here. And so that's going to be a true coalition of the breeding plan. And the same with the hogs. There's going to be specific Tom Harbin stuff. There's stuff that we were working on. And then there'll be some blends because we were really coalesced in on the hog stuff because we imported stuff together and stuff a few years ago with the Swiss chocolate.
He was our original partner. So we kind of know his plans and he guided us. So we're going to try to carry the torch forward with what he wanted to accomplish.
We've got a lot of the animals here, but there's still almost 200 in Montgomery that we go down every week and feed. So we're leaving at 7:00 in the morning. We're going through Atlanta. We're taking a bypass to go visit somebody. And then we're heading on down to Montgomery, feeding everything, and then heading back Saturday. And we'll start our feeding process here again. So there's more here now, but all the hognose or most of the hognose are in brumation. So we're kind kind of at a.
That's the best part of Colubrids.
That
Getting a little bit of a
140
break.
animals like in a nap time. It's like, oh, thank God.
Yep. Okay. All right. So last question. How do you brumate them? Do you put them in a cooling container? You put them in a room? You put them in a crawl space?
Wine coolers.
Big giant wine coolers. Right now, that's how we're doing it. We've got several big wine coolers, and we, fast them for 2 weeks, turn their heat off, and then we put them in the wine cooler. We drop them down about 52 degrees for 2 to 3 months. It just depends on what we're doing. What we're hoping, though, is in the facility, we're going to have a closet style room built in that's going to be big enough for 2 racks to be pushed in, instead of us having to load them all in these little tubs and then stuffing them in the cooler. We're just going to roll them right in if they're racks, and then that way they'll be in their own little spot. We'll never have all these little tubs everywhere that we're having to put lids on and poke holes in. I don't know. We did so many of those this year, but
we should have bought stock in Tupperware.
Tupperware, yeah, just shoving hot dogs in Tupperware.
I used to think about that with the Sterilite tubs and stuff.
Yeah. It's all like crammed in these little things together, but it is kind of a nice break from the subadults and the adults, but the baby's all still out, all the little babies behind us and stuff. So.
Yep. All right. Well, I wish you guys nothing but the best this season coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for hanging out. We kept you a lot longer than we bargained for.
Yeah, but we appreciate hanging out with you. You give a lot of good insight to just I think not even just like the business of reptiles, but just like keeping your mind focused and then just keeping stop worrying about everybody else and just keep yourself focused. I think that's probably a big takeaway. We had some good advice about stick to your strong suits. Like we're not going to be able to make, these videos and stuff. Just like you outsource that to somebody that has that ability. We're going to have to learn that we need help from other people. So, and we're going to reach out for that. So we appreciate all that insight. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for chatting me up, and thanks for having me on. I'm always happy to talk about these kind of topics. I think it's really fascinating. And like I said, a long time part of my career now is just trying to support other folks.
Yeah.
So I love supporting great people doing great work, and you guys are great people.
Thank you so much, man. We really appreciate it. Hang out just for a second. We're going to end this. Thanks, guys, for being here.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in.